Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. Welcome to Saturday, the 29th of April. Welcome to Goblin Quest, our second one-shot of April. Normally, this is where I talk about how we make atmospheric role-playing games, but as I just noted, our choice of sort of channel aesthetic and music is maybe the least appropriate for this than any other game we've played before. Maybe with the exception of Honey Heist. That was pretty out there too. But yeah, Goblin Quest is a highly chaotic game of goblins doing silly and bad and incompetent and occasionally heroic in very exaggerated question marks sort of things. It's going to be fun. It's going to be highly improv, highly chaotic. Yeah, it's a system we've been looking forward to playing for a while. I know I have, and at least one of our players I'd say, has been more invested in playing this than anything else in his life. And I think he'd definitely say the same. And we'll find that out later. Before I start bringing on people, let's do the usual promo nonsense. If you check down below the video, you'll see a bunch of links. There's links to Twitch and to YouTube. You're watching this on one of those two places. If you want to catch us live, you can do that on Twitch. If you want to watch all our archived video on demand, that is on YouTube. There's also links to our Discord, our Patreon, our social media. If those are things that interest you, please check them out. We run 2 weekly campaigns on Twitch. Mondays is Vason, and Wednesdays is our very long-running Simbaroom campaign. We also do one-shots at least once a month. I can see I'm being watched. And this is one of those one-shots. We've played all sorts of systems in our one-shots, so please do check them out. There's something for everyone over on our YouTube if you delve into everything we've been doing over the last couple of years. Right, there we go. So without anything further, let's start bringing on these players and talking a bit about Goblin Quest. I believe John has their art lined up, so let's start with Inga. Hello, Inga.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Are you ready to get all goblin up in here?
Yep. Cracking out the paint art skills. I'm using the term skills incredibly loosely, obviously.
I had no idea you were a pro. That's all I'm saying. So as people out there can see, this is like a Goblin Quest character sheet. Through the course of Goblin Quest, you actually play a clutch of goblins, 5 goblins, because you're almost certainly going to lose multiple goblins. The life of a goblin is short and cheap within the world of Goblin Quest, and I will be doing my very best to emphasize that thoroughly.
Present opportunities for us to go out in a blaze of glory.
Sure, that's one word for it. I'm not sure how glorious, like falling into a sausage making machine or something, will be, but that's we'll find out. Is it so? Tell us about. So your clutch is known as the credulous clutch, right? Tell us a little bit about your goblins and what makes them so very goblin-y.
These are they are incredibly credulous goblins. Hence the name. It is like they are. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. Everything very much at face value. They're very very positive, which is lovely. And they'll believe anything you'll tell them.
Nice. So what you're telling me is they're like a role-playing player.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, that seems like a good fit. All right, let's move on to our next player. Let's bring on good old Justin. Justin, how are you?
Yeah, I've been better, but I'm here. So
just let's get into what's bringing you down. Really get into the mood. Okay. So you've got a
no, I'm
here.
doing great. I'm doing really good.
Good.
Yeah, with a flat nose. We all have flat noses. You can see I've put that feature into it. We like digging holes. That's our expertise. Not always, straight down. Sometimes Bugs Bunny style through a wall. The holes, maybe even upwards. We're not good at it, but we like doing it. So we do it a lot.
Sure.
I don't even know if we enjoy it really. It just happens. It just tends to happen.
See, what intrigues me about this is, is the through line here that you use your flat noses to dig?
I don't say we don't do that. We're really resourceful. So it could be noses, hands, anything. And we are covered in dirt all the time. So we make everything dirtier. It doesn't matter how dirty that thing is. If we touch it, it's going to get dirtier.
I mean, technically speaking, if you're really dirty all the time, doing anything is digging.
It could be. I don't know how that works, but yes.
If there's dirt, if all you see is
if I'm covered in dirt,
you have is a hammer, then all you
moving
see is
dirt
nails.
around. Yeah.
If you're always covered in dirt, then everything's digging, isn't it?
All we want is to own something valuable, and also that's the Credulous Clans thing. So there's gonna be a bit of a pushback there.
Ooh.
But we have one powerful heirloom that will help us do anything. We've managed to acquire a page of a wizard's book. It might be the also by this author page, but it's still a page of the wizard's book, and so therefore is going to be very powerful. And you can see, I know all of the viewers at home already know this stuff because they can read my writing, which is incredibly easy to read. So none of this is new to them.
Absolutely.
But that's just for those who were just admiring the arts. That's what I've written on the left.
Sure. Can I ask there?
Go for it.
It really looks to me that you have a goblin, an arrogant goblin called is their name Smack?
Smack, yeah, with a shirt that says Smack on it.
A shirt that says Smack on it. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I admire that. I'm thinking of acquiring a shirt with my own name on it now, just to.
Really, does the shirt have his name on it, or is he named after his shirt? That's really the question.
John has immediately asked that in chat, and I think why would that ever not be the case? So, all right, let's move on to our next player, and our next player is Holly, and Holly is playing these lovely, very green goblins. Maybe the greenest of all of our goblins.
The green for a reason.
There's a reason. There is a reason for that. Share that with us, Holly.
This is my clutch. They are the slightly radioactive. They are extremely messed up. Whoever was in charge of making their clutch screwed it up a little bit. So they've, as you can see, they are kind of haunted in the eye department. But adore creating distractions, and their goal is to go off and see many new places and inevitably wreck them and leave them slightly irradiated.
Leave them unlivable for
exactly.
Exactly. With a decent, normal strands of DNA. I like the idea that just they put in, when they were brewing up your goblins, they put in the wrong goop. Yeah. Not the good, healthy goop that goes into.
Oh, yeah. The other goblins are all tip-top condition.
Really, the picture of goblinhood. Lovely. Okay, let's move on. And our next player is John. It's John. Hi, John. John.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Tell us about your goblins.
My goblins are the maggot eaters. They are a terrible ratatouille situation waiting to happen should any wannabe chefs let them touch them. They want to be gourmands. They are very good at destroying evidence. Sometimes, despite the name, that involves arson, but it usually involves just eating it. And they are covered in strange piercings, and one of them carries around with them a horrible iron pan that is full of what used to be grease but is now mostly mold.
Nice. Can I just ask, because I've been looking at this all week and have forgotten to ask you, is your final goblin there, Whistle, wrapped in bacon?
Yes.
Okay. and their defining feature is that they smell delicious.
Yes.
I can foresee no complications based on this, given that many of the things you will encounter would eat a goblin even without the bacon wrapping.
I did not realize that we have to play them in order, and I really wish I hadn't put them at the end.
Sure, but there we go. Okay, let's wheel out our final player. It is Stephen, well known to our Simbaroom viewers. Hi, Stephen. How are you doing? Tell us about your wonderful crayon goblins.
Yeah, thanks. I'm I'm profoundly jet lagged, so this is going to go great, guys. So my clutch are the Itchy Skins, known for their skills in incredible hubris, which seems like a perfectly sensible trait for goblins to exhibit. Also known for their fashion sense. Specifically, they are to a goblin purveyors of jorts, which, in case you were unaware, are what happens when you get jeans and then just like cut them down shorter, which in their case they do with the shears of jortsonism.
Nice, very nice. Now, Stephen, you have a bit of a background both with Goblin Quest and also these goblins have a bit of a background. And why don't you tell us about that?
So I got very excited about this when it first came out and backed the Kickstarter. I think I'm in one of the promotional videos putting a pan on my head and shouting goblin. Another friend of mine was also very excited. I know him from like live roleplay, where he used to play, and in fact still plays, a goblin by the name of Twigspitter. So his partner, as a present, backed the campaign on his behalf to the extent that he's got like a piece of hero artwork on like page 3 as King Twigspitter of Twigspitonia. So I just thought I'd steal his character, basically. And then just misplay him horribly.
Absolutely.
So the first goblin is Twigspitter, and then a number of goblins that rhyme with Twigspitter because why not?
Including Big Shitter. Which,
Big Shitter, yeah. I can't wait for him.
Defining feature generates so much poo.
So much poo.
I feel that's very much in keeping with the aesthetic, and
I had a good time with the brown crayon on that one.
Sure, I can imagine. All I can say, I love this, Stephen. I am slightly disappointed there's no Goblin John Cena, but other than that, no notes.
I missed a trick.
It's fine. There's always Goblin Quest 2,
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay, let's talk a bit about how Goblin Quest works. So it's a very fixed and structured type of role playing. It's heavily improvisational. You in fact don't need a games master at all. We thought we'd do a GM just to kind of keep things moving along for this, because it's a stream, and for those of you who haven't streamed role playing games before, which is probably most of you, it's very different to doing them in person. So having a GM around to kind of push things through is helpful, which you can do in Goblin Quest, but not always. The idea is your goblins are doing some kind of grand quest or adventure to which they are uniquely ill-suited. And as part of that, you have to come up with a series of 3 tasks for them to perform. And each of those tasks also needs 3 stages. So effectively, you're coming up with like a kind of 9-part little story of objectives for you to do. You move around the group one by one, doing an action, rolling a die, and seeing how much further forward you move towards completing that stage. It's very straightforward, very simple, very improvisational, and it's probably going to be a bit chaotic. So hopefully people are down for that. If not, this whole thing was a mistake, probably. So there we go. Before we get started, there is a little bit of a setting and background thing with Goblin Quest. So I will read out some stuff as well as read out what scenario we picked. And by we, I mean our patrons and our crew voted on various scenarios and misfortunes and stuff from the book. But before we do that, let's talk about the world of Goblin Quest. So a new day dawns on the great battle camp. The orcs march in the square outside their barracks. The hobgoblins file and cross-reference in the grey wards. The bugbears plot and scheme in the dun inn. Above it all, the black tower of the wizards stands proud, holding the wicked sorcerer generals that command the army to the war. And underfoot, in the dank caverns under the world, in the green pits, spawn the goblins. The goblins are bred for war, for cannon fodder, for hopeless attacks, for death. And you are a goblin. You have a week to live, and you're going to make a mark. You're going to undertake a Goblin Quest. He said the thing that we were all thinking. There we go. Our scenario today that we have selected / that was voted for is putting the band back together. And the details are this: when boss Bluggersnick demands to be entertained, you'd better be entertaining, unless you want to end up like the last unlucky gobs whose comedy routine didn't go over so well with him. There's only one thing Bluggersnick loves as much as thrashing goblins, and that's the sound of a full Zorbler band. Guess you better beg, borrow, and steal as many instruments as you can and get practicing. Now, I came up with an extra bit of background lore on this because it's called putting the band back together, right? Which suggests you've all been in a band before, but goblins only live for about a week, so that seems unlikely. So I think sometime in the sort of quite long ago, say about 2 days ago or so, all of your clutches were present in the same pit, quite randomly carrying out sort of helpful duties, and at almost the same moment, say within the same 10 seconds or so, each of your goblins made a highly inappropriate and overtly grotesque bodily noise at roughly the same time. This was obviously a work of wonderful musical genius, which you talked about for ages, for at least 30 seconds, and then you kind of moved on from that. But this news about Bluggersnick, this big orc bastard, has inspired something in you. So with that in mind, we need a plan to put the band back together. So what we need is 3 big tasks, like the 3 big parts of the plan to like get us towards that point. And maybe the last one is play in front of boss Bluggersnick. Maybe it's not. It's entirely up to you. And we need to come up with those. And then we need to come up with 3 little stages for each of those tasks. So with that in mind, does anyone have any notions about our first task towards getting this quest done?
I think we have to start by stealing some instruments from somewhere, right?
Yeah, I was about to say find some instruments and steal them. Yeah.
Obtain instruments. That seems good. Unless anyone has any objections.
I mean, I wasn't talking about buying them.
Could make them.
Obtain.
Could make them.
Could make them. Could steal them. Could
you make them out of goblin corpses? Like of our own corpses.
Maybe your own bodies are the instruments. But either way, that seems good. So what's the second task?
We've got to write the song.
What? Ooh.
5,000 something in the... So 5,000 candles
5,000
extinguished
candles
by my
in the
wind. Something
No,
like
no.
that.
Wait, we improv'd last time, so surely we can improv again. I think what's more important is advertising this comeback gig.
Oh, advertising is good.
Yes, advertising. Yeah. Because
Promotion.
we need to be thinking about the next gig.
So,
Yeah.
It's what I think of when I think of goblins. I think marketing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I'm down with this. So we're going to do some kind of improv jazz. It's like just not going to bother saying the word improvisational because I can't. Improv jazz. We're going to be advertising this heavily. Okay. Do we have a manager? Well, never mind. We'll work that out when we get.
Well, that could be one of the sub things.
Don't know
Get
about a
signed.
manager, but we need a kick-ass stage to perform on. Like this has got to be all out. Like we should. I guess we also need to know where Blugger Snack is, or whatever his name is. But we're somewhere where he'll be.
He'll find the music when if we perform, they'll come.
We need to.
If you do it right, everyone will know what's happening.
We should probably also come up with a band name.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that will be part of the advertising task. And
so that could be one of the So is your final task setting up the stage, setting up the performance?
Yeah, find a raised platform within earshot of Blugger Snuck and make noise there.
So the final task is finding a stage and performing.
Yeah.
Shall we say that? Okay. So we've got the three big tasks there.
Cool.
So let's break those down a little bit. So we need to come up with 3 stages. This actually confuses me about Goblin Quest a bit because in my head it should be the big ones should be stages and the smaller ones should be tasks. But that's fine. That's just my brain. So the first stage of obtaining instruments. What should that be?
Locating instruments, I reckon.
Well, see, I'd be tempted to break
Or
it
come
down
up with what instruments we want.
Well,
yeah. The first thing should be deciding what we play. Are you a percussion player? Are you a string player? You gotta know what works for you. You know.
And I think it's definitely worthwhile pointing out that goblins discussing what they're going to play probably is running around, hitting or blowing on things until some spark of
I think
inspiration occurs.
Stage 1, find out what makes noise.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
This is a really good point.
Find out what makes noise.
Find out what makes noise.
Acquire the thing that makes noise.
Yeah.
That's stage 2. And stage 3 is tune up.
nah.
Sound
Acquire
test.
what makes noise.
I guess stage 3 is get back to like the studio.
Practice?
Yeah. Get back to a practicing space of some kind.
Yeah, so stage 3 is practicing.
Rehearsal.
Yeah.
Rehearsals. Yeah, rehearsals, sure. So then we've got the marketing and promo section as the second stage, which is everyone who has been in a band knows is definitely the best and most interesting and non-frustrating part of music. So the first stage of marketing and promo?
Name, obviously.
Band
name.
But we can't just choose a name. We need something that
You need to
represents
go-
what we've done. So
This
like
is a quest. You need So maybe you choose a name, but that means you have to go then go do the thing.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
Like for example, if we chose the name Wizard Slayer,
We have to kill a wizard.
to kill a wizard.
Yeah.
I mean, so we should be very careful about what we choose. Our name
Very
because-
careful about what you choose. Yeah, absolutely. So what's the second stage of the marketing task?
I think if we organise costume's good. I like that. I think maybe organising a fight between other people so that they're at the place that we're going to happen, because nothing brings together the forces of darkness like a good internal fight. If we can, if we can say they said something about you and they said tomorrow the fight is at this place, they're bound to turn up.
But we need to find the stage before we do that, though.
Yeah, find
true.
a venue. Find a venue.
Maybe
Well,
that
if
should
we
be
say
in
it's
task 3.
if we say it's in the valley, this valley, that valley, we'll find a stage there.
So do we need
Amongst
a
the
poster?
fighting.
Do we need a poster
Yeah, like flyers or
Goblins
posters,
can't really
something
read.
like that.
No one can,
Yeah.
no one can
Something-
read.
something
Yeah,
flat
like
that we can
arrows.
draw a map on?
Yeah.
I think we've got multiple things here. So here's my proposal. You're the players. You shoot it down. I think finding costumes is a great one. I think getting posters put up is another great one. And I think Justin's ones actually fit really well in the third stage. So getting people to fight. No. Finding the place, finding the stage, and then getting people
Organising
to
a fight there.
organizing a fight,
And then actually
and then
play.
and then the last task is
Yeah.
play the gig, right?
I think so. This is coming together. With
So
a
it's
task
like a
this
dream.
easy, then what could go
Nothing
wrong?
can go wrong. Yeah, exactly.
What could possibly
Nothing
go
can
wrong?
go wrong.
Yeah.
So task 3 is find stage, arrange fight, play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing
So-
will bring them. Nothing will bring the people in like a good fight.
Nothing. So just to reiterate our different things here, I'll just read them all out in order. First, find out what makes noise. We skipped over that a lot, but that is genius. Second is acquire whatever makes the noise. Third is rehearsals. It's very important. Next, a band name, probably with some kind of mini quest to go along with that, because you can't name yourself something you haven't done. Second is costumes. Exactly. Second is costumes. Next is posters. I think flyers. Posters and flyers. Classic.
Stickers.
Next, stickers, badges. Next is finding the stage. Next, and penultimately, is getting people to fight at the stage to draw the crowd and hopefully boss Bluggersnick. Although he seems very peripheral to this, given that, he's the person this is for. But that's fine. That's all in the, life finds a way. And then it's playing the gig, right? So that's how we've got it. If we're happy with that, then we can start moving forwards with this. And what we've said for anyone who does know Goblin Quest, who's interested in how we may have, because it's got a lot of options, right? And anyone who's interested in how we may be choosing to do things, how we're doing re-rolls is that everyone has one re-roll in the game, in the quest, and to use that re-roll, they have to put on the boss hat. Okay, which is whatever hat they've got next to them. And then they have to wear that hat until the next person puts on the boss hat. So one person could be wearing a hat for a very long time, which is great. The other thing we're doing is normally if you're playing around a table, you would choose, it's played in kind of rounds and everyone takes a turn and then it starts again. And it's kind of like whoever goes next is whoever wants to go next. Because we're doing it on stream, and streams can be absolutely held up massively by people being polite to each other. No, you go. Basically, unless anyone is like, I really want to go, or I think this person should really go now, I'm going to randomly generate who goes next, just to keep things rolling, right? I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else. The misfortune tables were also voted on by patrons and crew, and I know when they're going to happen and what's going to happen, but people don't have any idea. The other thing we did love the goblin character classes, and we wanted to use them somehow, but we also wanted to have some fun playing around with it. So basically everyone here has a randomly generated character class on a randomly generated goblin. Also, they don't know which goblin that is. I know which goblin that is. It's either their second, third, or fourth goblin, and we'll find out what happens and when. So there we go. All very random, because random is fun, and also it's easy. So there we go. Let's start. Shall we start? Does anyone want to start, or do we want to do, in the spirit of things, shall we randomize who kicks things off?
Yes.
I see some general nodding, so let's do that. I of course immediately draw. I'm like with a D6 for these 5 people. Okay, we have Straggly the Flatnose.
Fantastic.
Straggly the Flatnose. Okay, so all your clutches. There's no preamble to do. You've definitely all decided on this, probably through one person saying it and everyone else just going yes.
Right. How do we feel about
know,
imaginary animal violence?
I mean, I think that's deeply in the spirit of Goblin Quest, unless it's not framed in an extremely harrowing way.
Well, I mean, I'm going to rely on a classic British staple, which is the mice keyboard, and see if I can get get enough mice and rats together to get a kind of a percussive instrument. I think that's a good start. Something that squeaks.
Things that squeak. A squeak is certainly a noise, if nothing else.
It is a noise.
So yeah. Well, this is finding out what makes noise. So perhaps Straggly is investigating the
animals that make noise.
Animals that make noise
Around the dump. Around the Origami. There's some big animals. There's some small animals.
Absolutely.
All of them might make noise if you hit them.
Yes. So how is Straggly going to go about this? Is it just a case of
I've got a stick,
running through the dump with a stick?
hitting wild animals? Again, some of them big, some of them small. We'll find out what makes the best noise.
You need to get the variety going.
You need to get the variety. You need to get a tonal soundscape, really. So
absolutely.
that's my plan.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a good idea, but
I mean, that's entirely dependent on what you roll, really, isn't it?
that's
So,
true.
regarding how the mechanics of Goblin Quest work, just for everyone out there, you basically roll a d6. If you have something about your goblin that you think will help with the task, that could be a quirk, a dream, expertise, the ancestral heirloom, a defining feature, then you can invoke that for an extra die. But both results on the die apply.
I don't think I get any extra die.
Yeah. Not unless you could think of something that you particularly would help you running through a dump and hitting animals.
One is bad, right?
Yeah, one is bad. Is that what you rolled?
Yeah, I rolled a one. To be honest,
we're off
to be expected.
start.
I think to be expected is where we're at with that one.
So what we're also doing is if because this is meant to be like a like group storytelling thing, like basically every time the players roll a result, they can either just narrate the results completely themselves, or hand it over to me, or do a kind of like, I want this to happen, but why don't you throw something in? So it's up to you, Justin. Do you want me to determine what happens with the one?
I think we all know what happens. I think
we all know what happens.
And they bite him or her or whatever Straggly is. They bite it.
Well, goblins have no gender, so yeah they or it get bit.
Straggly has learned do a hit, get bit. That's the
do a hit, get bit
thing.
Do a hit, get bit.
Which is a good lyric.
Yeah.
But did Straggly make a noise when they got hit?
Straggly made a noise. That's true. So maybe we hit Straggly.
I've just Googled random animal generator.
Cool.
And I'm afraid to inform you that Straggly was just viciously wounded by an extremely annoyed canary.
Canary, fantastic.
That was presumably fluttering through the dump, minding its own business, when some flat-nosed little idiot ran by it and lamped it with a stick.
Look, a canary that is in a dump is probably born in a pool of gasoline, and I'm gonna. I knew I'm going to get you that, John. One day I'm going to get you with it. And it's vicious. But like we said, Straggly's learned that they make a noise when they are bit or hit, which is really good stuff.
That's valuable information. Straggly has also had one of their hit points removed by the canary.
Correct.
So is 50% of their way to going to the great goblin puddle in the sky.
Cool. Cool.
So there we go. Does anyone want to leap in with a development on this this discovery from Straggly?
On hearing "do a hit, get bit," Twigspitter, King Twigspitter is going to make a big show of writing those lyrics down. He can, of course, not write, but he's
really
just
impressive.
He's kind of just scratching with a rock on a bit of wood.
Sure. Absolutely. So I mean, roll a die to see how well you scratch.
Okay, that wasn't going to be my turn. That was more just a response.
Oh, sure. You can if you want. Maybe. I mean, do you have a rock? Do you have a stick?
No.
I mean, those are valuable possessions.
Well, is Twigspitter just? Is it going to be his go?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay,
if you want, or I can throw it open.
What's the worst that can happen?
I've unmuted now, so.
if you just meant like the writing is incidental and Twigspitter is then going to go do something else that makes
Yeah, that was the sort of flavor.
yeah.
Like,
whatever.
So Twigspitter has delusions of grandeur, and the Clutch as a whole a dream of celebrity. So I think I'm specifically going to go and look for whatever instrument would be at the front of a Zorbla band, which I assume is some kind of wind instrument, right? Like, because
yes, of course,
obviously. So I don't know if I could use the celebrity and/or defining feature in that sense.
So, yeah, I mean, if you want to be, I mean, this I think
very self-important,
pretty
in a
lenient.
kind of...
Yeah. You want to be the front goblin,
the front
of a Zorbla band, which, as everyone knows, is the wind instrument, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, Twigspitter is going to go and look for something to blow in. Yeah. Okay, that's quite a mixed bag. That is a victory, 2 victories, and an injury.
Did you roll 3 dice?
Well, I was using defining feature and celebrity and the original dice.
Oh, I see.
If that's too many, I can roll.
I didn't know how many dice get rolled, but I think it says every dice you roll is counted as. So I think it's
you add dice for traits and you count them all. It says.
Okay.
There's a bit of stuff if you have something
each
good
time
and something
you're
bad.
rapidly increing the chance of you dying horribly.
Yeah, which is absolutely. So 2 6s and a 1 there. So do you want me to do it? Do you want you to do it?
I don't have any preconceived ideas about what it is I'll try to blow into, so I'm going to throw this one open to you, Matt.
Throw this one to me. Let's come up with a shorthand for this, because otherwise we'll end up talking about, like, if you want me to handle it at the end of a thing, just say what happens next, or words to that effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Twigspitter is wandering around this dump, has noted down these lyrics from Straggly, and happens upon looking around for some kind of instrument that befits their majesty, the majesty of their form. And they have a monocle, so that's pretty majestic. Stumble across literally a long length of corroded metal pipe that someone has, for some reason, put under a bunch of mulched up leaves and excrement and bits of goblin. And I mean, that's valuable stuff that you can come back to later. But for now, let's focus on the pipe. You lift that pipe, and it is a beautiful thing. It is long. The corrosion has made bits in the middle of it fall through, which means you can kind of get different tones out of it. You put your lips to it, and you blow an amazing sounding kind of noise, which might be the most beautiful thing you've ever heard. And you are the joy you take in this massive victory is only kind of like mitigated somewhat by the odd, like, bleeding and prickling sensation of having put a jagged, corroded metal pipe to your lips and kind of sawed it roughly across your face while making a noise. Goblins don't really have any huge knowledge of tetanus, which is just as well.
It takes longer to kill you than they're alive.
It does, but that would be true were it not for goblins' very, very aggravated metabolism.
Cool.
Tetanus can take them down in a matter of minutes, and Twigspitter, he's celebrating now, but that bacteria is just roaring through his system, even as we speak. So there's
getting the red crayon.
Live fast, die young. That's the musician's thing, isn't it?
It is absolutely live fast, die young. Brackets of tetanus is the saying we're all familiar with.
Yay! I'm so brilliant. Ow!
So there we go. Out of interest, like I won't say how many what the difficulty of each stage is, which is where you move to the next one, is when you've got enough victories equal to the difficulty of the stage. But I will say for this one, just to illustrate for everyone, that the difficulty of this stage is 4. So we're halfway there already. Does anyone want to volunteer to be next, or shall I roll?
I'm happy to go.
Go for it, John.
So, for the maggot eaters, the most beautiful sound, or the most beautiful sounds that they can think of, is one, the sound of something frying gently in their rancid iron pan, and the strong percussive crunch as they obviously eat something. They mostly like it because they get to eat something, but Wink, I'm going to go around and try and find what makes the nicest crunch when I eat it.
Sure, absolutely. So basically, you're just wandering the dump, putting things in your mouth.
Yeah.
Again, what could go wrong? So I'm imagining you're getting some extra dice from this because it's in your clutches, clutches favor. How many dice are you taking from that? What's for each of them?
I think as I'm going for a crunch and not the frying, which is more of an atmospheric background, I think I'll leave the pan behind for now. So I'll just roll 2 dice.
Very, very modest. Yeah.
I rolled a 4 and a 5, so that's something good and a victory.
Something good and a victory. Yeah.
So I think as I am wandering around, putting stuff in my mouth and crunching it, I come across, let's say, half-eaten. I don't know what would be a likely thing to eat. Half-eaten.
You're a goblin.
Goblins don't actually eat, do they?
I mean,
Mine
they
do.
don't need to eat.
They don't need to eat, right? Gourmand here. Crisp packets make a good crinkle.
Yeah, right.
Some snail shells.
I was thinking like I come across like a half-rotted carcass of something that is now indistinguishable. Might be suspiciously goblin-shaped, but
very
it's
tasty.
Whatever. And I lift up a bit and I put it in my mouth and I go, and the crunch is so loud that my ears like ring for the first moment. I'm just like,
wow. Wow.
So now I know that I need to find half-rotted bodies.
Well, we're not going to have a short supply of those by the end of the game.
No. And this provides something good for the next person to roll as well. And I'm going to say that's probably the next person is now well aware that the area of the dump where there is a massive stack of corpses. Wink might be onto something here. There's more things to do with corpses than just bite them. As the old goblin saying goes. So there we go. We've got Inga or Holly left. Does anyone want to jump in, or shall I roll random?
Roll random. Someone gets something good, right?
Roll random. Well, that's what, Inga. You said that because you knew I'd roll you. That's typical. So what John's something good means is that you get +1 on your rolls. This
cool. So all this looking at the corpses reminds me of how glorious the last fights we saw here were, and in particular, like, collect it. Want something out of this. I'm not going to just go around hitting myself to make a noise. I think Yes is thinking, ooh, those orc helmets, they make a nice bong noise when you hit them. They were killing some goblins around here recently, just as they were wandering by. An orc helmet would make a great noise, I think.
There's probably at least one orc corpse around
I
here.
think I'm pretty sure there'd be
Let's
something
find
like that.
out.
So that's what I want to look for. I want to test an orc helmet and make sure it makes a nice bong noise.
Sure. So, with that in mind, have you got any kind of like factors that would help you and give you extra dice with your roll?
Only that I'm hoping this is something that's going to help add to my collection, which is my dream to collect, to own something truly valuable. Potentially, but I guess that would maybe be more on the next stage, like acquiring the thing that makes the noise. Maybe not just yet.
Sure. Then roll your die and let's see how things work out.
I roll the 1, but I guess I get the +1. So that's a 2,
do. So,
which
so it
is the
goes to
same as
2.
a 1.
So it's is it exactly the same as a 1? It is the same as a 1. Wonderful.
Yeah. I think I picked a live, or I've tried to pick a live orc to come up and try and go, and I've just been swatted away before even getting to test the helmet.
Like I think maybe what you had here was like a series of like orc bodies, but one of them, the one you unfortunately chose, was probably just sleeping it off. Probably sleeping off all the effort of killing those other orcs.
Oops.
Yeah, and yes, the credulous, not for the first time, feels an orc backhand. And as yes, the credulous soars gently over the rest of the goblins rummaging around the dump. Holly.
Right. So Glunk thinks that Yes was onto a winner with that helmet idea, and long ago, in the days of old, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Glunk actually, the small pond of weird radioactive goop in the junk pile, managed to fish out some kind of dish. So what they're going to try and do is go back to that place and see if they can get another one.
Okay. Yeah, sure. A dish for hitting, for smashing, for
exactly. Yes.
Throwing at the other musicians to make them make a noise when it hits them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is there anything within to give you extra dice?
Loves fishing. That's why they've got a minnow attached to their ear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's a 1 and a 2.
Do you want to use your reroll?
You know what? It's hilarious. No,
okay.
That's a fantastic start. Let's lean into it.
Absolutely, let's lean into it. Do you want me to take the reins?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So Glunt goes over to this small radioactive pool that they are very familiar with from the middle of the dump. It's a bit bigger than they remember it being, but what's a few meters between friends? Glunk. What does Glunk use to fish with?
Just literally
his
a
hand?
stick. Yeah. Hand. Yeah. Just reaches in there and just
Sure. Glunk kind of reaches in and rummages around to try and find that dish, and registers that kind of can't find anything after a few seconds of rummaging, becomes impatient at this and starts to grow suspicious that there's something different about this pond when they withdraw their arm and it's gone just above the elbow. They think that can't be right. That can't be right. This I definitely had a hand before I put it into this faintly glowing substance. Better to be safe than sorry. Test it again with just a bit of a dabble with the foot, only up to the knee. Withdraws from that, looks down at the kind of gloopy melted stump that was their knee, and thinks, third time's the charm. Tries the other foot, and all anyone else knows is there's a slight bubbling noise heard from a few or so feet away, and that's the last anyone sees of Glunk the slightly radioactive.
That's a good noise.
Slightly can probably be removed.
Yep.
It's not a victory, so it's not a good noise, though, is it?
Oh, it's a terrible noise.
It's a terrible noise. It's a noise for
It's
Goblin
actually
being melted.
yeah, it's kind of pathetic.
No, that
Yeah.
noise is rubbish, Glunk. Glunk? Has anyone seen Glunk?
So Holly, farewell to Glunk. We hardly knew them.
Yeah.
Who is your second goblin?
Clunk is we're going in, yeah.
Clunk.
Clunk appears out of the rubbish pile wearing a potato sack.
Absolutely
And a
wonderful.
bright purple sock. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, we're back round to the beginning of the round. Then we only need one more victory, and we're down one goblin. That's fine. We've got 25 of them. So shall I roll again to see who goes first? Unless anyone wants to. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. It is Inga. Yes. Flush off the. I mean, you may not have found a good noise, but you did find how to very briefly fly. That could come in useful
Filing
on
that
another
away.
occasion. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've probably landed at a fairly random point in the dump, brushed yourself off. What's the next objective?
I think I was still onto something about there being. I'm still on something with the percussion idea. I think I'm not deterred, but maybe I was being too linear, too narrow focused. So I'm just going to jump about and smash on around the dump until I hear something that makes a nice, fun clunking noise.
Yeah, just like frogging up and down, slapping your hands on the ground. I mean, we've all been there. So is there anything that would give you extra dice on that?
Why would you
No,
need to? It's such
I
a
don't
good
think so.
plan.
Exactly. And it was a 4 on the dice, which is
Okay.
something
Okay.
good.
Something good. Something good.
So this is something fortunate occurs, an enemy leaves or is defeated, a goblin gets a lucky break, new opportunity is revealed, and the next goblin will get a +1 on their rolls.
Mhm.
Something good. Maybe can I jump down and I've like managed to jump directly onto it's like a squeaky toy or something like that. That's just made a very satisfying kind of squeaky squawky noise.
Yeah, one of the bugbears has accidentally dropped their favorite chew toy, and there it is, letting out a slightly deflated. But absolutely. And with this,
I'm especially thrilled about this because this is clearly a high value item. This is excellent. This is even better than our orc helmet.
absolutely, and it's definitely an avenue for pursuit. Does anyone want to particularly pursue it, or are we leaving it to chance? That's the length of time it takes.
Chance. It's
Holly. Clunk the slightly radioactive clearly crawled out of a rubbish pile, a faintly green glowing rubbish pile near this.
That sound music to my ears, and I dive forward into the pile to try and find something similar because that one it wasn't quite right,
Sure.
Sure. So I'm looking for a slightly different dog toy, I reckon.
Or something at least looks like it or feels like
it.
Or even it's just approximately the same dimensions, or smell. Something reminiscent.
Smell is probably the best direction here.
Something that smells like a bugbear's chewed it. Because doesn't that make whatever that is a chew toy?
Exactly.
In essence. Okay.
That's better. That's a 5. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
So there we go. So. Do you got a notion of what you want that to be?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think that Clunk the Slightly Radioactive is going to emerge from this pile, this other pile, which wasn't glowing until you went in, but is now sort of shimmering slightly around the edges. But you emerge with something that it's perfect. It's A, relatively small, B, absolutely drenched in bugbear saliva, and C, no one's going to miss it. It's a decapitated gnome head.
Fantastic.
There's a few bits have fallen off it since you pulled it out of the pile, but there's still a bit of hair. There's still a bit of skin. It's gonna be good, and it makes a very satisfying squelchy thump when you slap it with your hand.
Yeah,
So,
cool. Yeah, I dance around doing that for a little while.
So what more could you want? And I think at that point, as a whole, this group of goblins has come to the conclusion that they've found some real treasures here in the dump. But obviously, you need more of this stuff, right? In order to make the right kind of
range
noise.
of sounds.
You need to get a range of sounds, and those sounds, I think, we'll focus on the things that were victories. So things you can blow into that go and maybe give you a horrible disease.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are small and dead that you can slap a lot. And what was where did our other victory come from? Wink.
Things that crunch when you bite them.
Things that crunch when you bite them. So really, now we move on to our second stage, and our second stage is acquire what makes noise. So generally speaking, I mean, there's 24 of you. You need to find a whole bunch of things that crunch when you bite them, dead things that slap when you hit them, and long things that you can go with. So
I have an idea.
Now we have to do that. Well then, Justin, do you want to? We keep the same rotation, but do you want to go next?
Yeah, I would like to go and approach a really big, scary, thuggish band of orcs, because they're the people who've got the bodies. We know we need things that are dead. They might not have time to go dump in the dump yet, so go straight to the source. That's what I think.
When in need, go up to an orc and say, "Have you got corpses for slapping?"
Yeah, exactly. Does anything? Maybe my collector acquiring something truly of value might be helpful here. Maybe I could. Do you think maybe they might believe me if I said that the page of my wizard's book was instructions from a wizard to get these things?
I think, I definitely would go for that one rather than because it can't really be said that corpses here.
I agree. I do agree. I completely agree.
Many of them.
I completely agree. There is.
But yeah, instructions from a wizard. I mean, that's something that an orc would step to that they wouldn't to just a goblin coming up on them and ask them for corpses for slapping.
Yeah. So we want these corpses. Yeah, my cold hands. I don't think it's going to help with this at all. Right. Well, I rolled a 2 and a 4, so I'm dead. But
but something good does come out of it.
Something good. So what I think happens is that the orcs seem agreeable, but also hungry, so they eat me, and that might probably improve their mood for the next person who wants to engage with the orcs on acquiring the bodies. They're less hungry now, maybe in a good mood, and so Straggly is just eaten by a load of orcs.
Absolutely. Straggly approach maybe they're the orcs in charge of the dump. And they agree that they are happy to deal with the group as a whole, but they do require some payment. And as Straggly disappears with a squeak into the largest orc's mouth, clearly that payment has been made.
And Festa steps in to grab the page before it gets too dirty. But by picking it up, it gets even dirtier. So, you know.
Yeah. So we got Wink or Twig left with the go this round. Any volunteers or random?
Roll the dice.
Roll the die. Wink the Maggot Eater. You dealing with these orcs that Festa buttered up for you? or
Well-
going a different tack?
I think the maggot eaters may have had dealings with these orcs, because we are premium trash disposal. So I think I will go up and try and convince them that we need stuff, dead
Stuff.
things, bones.
Yeah, I mean, dead things do satisfy two of your requirements, don't they? They are crunchy to bite on, and also a dead thing to slap on. And as you say, with a bone, maybe you could. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna
once you
do
get
it.
the
Means you-
stuff out in the middle, what's it called?
Yeah, the Google
Marrow.
stuff.
Jelly.
Yeah,
Marrow.
like
Marrow.
yeah.
The jelly.
I mean, I'm glad that we worked around there before I on stream said you can always blow on a bone. But I've done it now anyway, so I suppose you didn't help me at all. I've never had my players look more disgusted with me. John,
Can I roll with my expertise of destroying evidence?
what evidence have you destroyed?
I think. Well, it's
Evidence
maybe,
of the dead things that the dogs have killed.
I think sometimes these orcs get things in the dump that they don't want to have in the dump, and then the maggot
Okay.
eaters
Okay.
take them off their hands.
Sure.
So I've got a good rapport with them.
Hey, look, Goblin Quest might be the only game where I accept torturous reasoning like that. So go for it. Go for it. Don't forget your +1.
How does the +1 work? Like, is it an extra
Plus
die? Or
one
does it add
applies.
to my...
No, it's +1 on every die you roll.
Then I rolled a 6 and a 5.
Ooh.
Actually, a 5 and a 4, but 6 and a 5.
Sure, yeah. So people need to ask me if they want me to do.
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
remember?
I'm just thinking. I think I approached the orcs just as I've already forgotten his name. The previous Straggly.
it doesn't
Straggly
matter.
was being
It
eaten.
Doesn't matter.
The other one.
Everyone has already forgotten his name, including Fester and the other flat noses.
The other one is being eaten, and I go, "Hey, do you have any dead things?" And
Do
then
you
the
now
orcs
want me to
presumably-
respond? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm used to the NPC. It's fine. And
Sure.
then the
But
orcs-
you need to just ask me
Yep,
if you
yep.
want me to do it.
and then the orcs are just like, because they're eating. And
Mhm.
Wink just sort of walks past and finds a couple of corpses of various states of decay, and sort of starts
Fair enough.
dragging them out very laboriously.
Absolutely, some fresh things the orcs have killed. Maybe a couple of humans, maybe a couple of other orcs, probably a big pile of goblins. So now you basically got a corpse pile that everyone can start to rummage through.
It's a good band name. Corpse Pile.
Corpse Pile is a great band name. Maybe we could talk about that later. So, Stephen, your Twig Spitter is the last one left this round.
So yeah, Twigspitter with his hunger for fame and his delusions of grandeur is not interested at all in acquiring instruments for anybody else. The way that we told it, it was almost like he already got the pipe and extracted it from the pipe. In fact, I drew it on my character sheet.
Nice.
So
nice.
I think his motivation now is about overall improving the status of the band via their instruments, which means that he wants to wrap his pipe in something shiny, or possibly attach a bow to it, or just generally like bling it up for maximum classiness. That's a very important thing.
Yeah.
As the front goblin.
Yeah, to make sure Twig
True.
Spitter is the focal point of this, because
Precisely.
he will certainly survive until the 9th stage.
Exactly this, yeah.
So, especially with only one hit point left.
Yes,
So-
and the 3 dice I'm about to roll, everything will be fine. He's dead. He's dead, and something bad happens.
Yeah, you or me? I'm not saying we're the bad things.
I don't have a preconceived idea of
Sure.
where you'd find a shiny thing here. So go for it.
Sure. I think I think that Twig Spitter is like stood on the edge of all the goblins, like looking around, rummaging through this corpse pile, and somewhere in the middle of the corpse pile, you see something kind of glitter as the other kind of goblins start rummaging through this heap of bodies, and Twig Spitter, kind of like with a great deal of interest, sort of ducks down and kind of leans in a bit closer and kind of like reaching out for this glittery something. Unfortunately for Twig Spitter, the glittery something turns out to be a sword, quite a short sword, and that short sword is being held by a gnome who's still alive and has tried to infiltrate the dump and kill the orcs that murdered his brother and tore his head off. And that gnome leaps out from the middle of this corpse pile with a kind of noise.
Hello.
Instantly stabs Twig Spitter in the belly, and then turns and he's the gnome equivalent of vocally of not to be an obvious RPG nerd, but Lancelot in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, just ha ha, just like hitting everything around him. And basically the bad thing that's happened is there is now a loose, violent gnome roaming around this corpse pile. The orcs seem somewhat disinterested in this, have probably wandered off a bit. The bad thing, I want to make absolutely clear, the bad thing is not that Twig Spitter's dead. That's if anything,
who's Twig Spitter?
Median.
That's by the by.
It's of median value. So there we go. Third,
If anything, we've just got another corpse.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That ends the round for us, but also, obviously, Stephen, bring on your next goblin, who is...
Give me a second. It's only Pig Hitter.
It's only Pig Hitter, but Pig Hitter's not just Pig Hitter. Pig Hitter has a character class. Because Stephen's number 2 goblin has a character class, and that class is, and I don't think there's big rules for them, but it is. I think it just provides another thing you could cash in for an extra die, right? You are a bin lunger. So sometimes the difference between life and death is being able to lunge really, really hard into a bin. And that's what has kept you in one piece until now. So as long as there's a waste receptacle handy, there's something for you to leap headlong into and lurk inside until the danger has passed.
Brilliant.
If you can make use of that, that's an extra die for you right there. So we're still going, still trying to get through this second stage, and we're back to the beginning of the round of actions again. Shall I roll randomly, or does someone want to jump in?
Clunk has discovered a matching head to complete the set, so is going to try and detach said head from the body to which it's currently attached.
Absolutely. Is there anything that will help you with
alive
this task?
thing? Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything that will help you with this task?
I mean, Clunk is fairly resourceful, and I think that beating someone to death with the head of their own brother is like...
Sure.
Taking what's at hand,
Is resourceful their quality?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that absolutely. I think that's resourceful.
Yeah.
Make do with what you've got. Yeah, absolutely. But this is obviously a bad thing because it's got a gnome with a sword.
Oh yeah.
So that's a -1. Yeah. A -1 on those rolls. So let's see what happens.
Okay. I rolled a 2 and a 3, which it works out to a 1 and a 2 again. So,
can I jump in with a rules thing? Can I?
Sure.
I think Yes was thinking about this. Yes saw the glitter of the sword when whatever the last goblin went along and was thinking, "Ooh, shiny!" And now Clunk's going for it as well. Like, and this just won't do. Yes is too excited, so Yes would like to sacrifice themselves in a glorious death to offer a reroll for Clunk by lunging forward, trying to basically just like koala grab the sword, just in sheer excitement of the glitter and the shiny.
Absolutely.
Sort of inadvertently saving Clunk, maybe.
Yeah. So you, as Inga's quite rightly pointed out, this is an option. You can sacrifice your goblin during another player's turn to give another player's goblin a reroll, and they get to add 1 to all their results as though something good has happened. So Yes the Credulous, koalas onto this gnome, which obviously instantly kills Yes the Credulous, and now the gnome is just like waving around with this goblin like koalaing, as you say, the most horrible koala in the world, and that's got some stiff competition, as John will tell you. So Clunk, I still think your resourcefulness counts here.
Oh,
So...
yeah. So I've re-rolled. So do I re-roll both dice or just one?
Both. Re-roll both dice.
Cool.
I'm not sure whether the something bad should also apply from before, or
I think
or
it
whether...
should.
You think it should?
Be like
So
a
it's
I
like
also
even
get something
now.
good. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
an
So
roll.
it's even. It's no. I have a slight amendment to that, because if you roll a good thing and a bad thing, it counts as a good thing. So I don't think both modifiers apply. I think good things always trump bad things, right? Unless they're outnumbered by the bad things. That's the rule.
That's why we need
So
to
I
GM
think it's
this
just a
game.
good thing. I think it's
Okay,
just a good thing.
Just a good thing. In which case, that is a 4 and a 5.
Okay.
Very
Well,
good.
do you want me to take this one, or are you good with it?
No, I'm good with it. So, thanks to the heroic actions,
Stupid.
Yes. This leaves the goblins somewhat distracted. So while they're facing away from Clunk, Clunk is just going to reach their tiny goblin arms up and bring down the head of this goblin's relative onto the head of this goblin, producing a satisfying sound, which has given them the idea for their instrument, which is smashing these two heads together.
Absolutely. The gnome drops. It's up to you whether maybe he's not dead. Maybe you just tie him up and hit his head with the head of his dead brother. Maybe that's what happens. I'm going to say
it might add an interesting note to the music.
Exactly, and an emotional resonance. To this date has been sorely lacking. But I'll say there's something good that happens is there's now just a gnome sword lying on the ground for anyone to use for the next task. I would also say that, yes, the Credulous has left us and has left a hole in our hearts, replaced by, of course, the Credulous. What's, of course, his thing, Inga?
Of course, it's hairy.
Of course, it's hairy.
Cool.
Of
Just
course.
all
Of
over.
course.
And like all hairy people, of course, has a character class. So the two people to have a character die, the goblin die first, also are the two people where I rolled their second goblin. So Inga, and this is, I think, my favorite of the character classes that I rolled from this table, of course, is a pretend vampire. An ancient curse that gives you the strength of 10 goblins and an undying thirst for blood, or just a sodden black sheet, 2 fairly pointy carrots, and a bag of hastily applied chalk dust. In a dark enough alley, with a drunk enough opponent, and with little enough time in which to make a decision, there is a very thin line between the two. That's been enough to keep you alive so far. With a little luck, you could keep the pretense up for another few hours. So there we go. Of course, there's a pretend vampire. Wonderful. So, I think only Holly has gone this round, right? Has anyone got a follow-up with this gnome sword and pile of corpses, or shall I roll? Justin.
Well, I'm still wondering whether we can get some more mileage out of the hitting oneself. and the sword seems like a good option. It's got a nice flat edge to hit oneself with. So, I mean, give it a go. Give it a go. That's what I think. And
Absolutely.
I think this would be something truly valuable. It is a sword, and yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
So,
That's all you got. Yeah. Oh, and you get a +1 from the something
plus
good.
1. Is this a good? Can I get a good noise out of this? Maybe someone else can hit me. Who knows? I've got a 5 and a 3, so that's a success.
Something bad and a success.
And something bad. Well, I think.
Well, did you? Is that 5 and a 3 with the +1?
Oh, it's not actually right. It's a 6 and a 4, which is better than that. So 6 and a 4 is something good, and a victory. So I guess what's good is Festa's now. We have a sword that is makes a good noise when you hit Festa with it, or Festa hits themselves with it, but also makes us look badass, and that is something that is going to help.
Yeah, that's
something that will help going forwards. Yeah.
It's a step towards being a power metal band, right?
Yeah,
if you've got a sword.
If you got a sword, absolutely, and that also, to be honest, for the Goblin group as a whole, really rounds out the sound. So what we have is one goblin smacking themselves, probably on the thigh or the butt, or maybe the nice soft belly, or head, wherever really, with the flat of a sword, and nothing will ever go wrong about that.
Make sure we don't get that wrong.
We have another slightly radioactive goblin beating a tied up gnome with the rotting skull of his dead brother, which classic. And we also have a tetanus-ridden metal pipe. And you know what? You feel like you've acquired enough stuff to make the noises that you want to make, which is me saying that stage is done. So we still have 3 people to act in the final stage of this task, which is rehearsals.
Cool.
I'm assuming we're not are we going anywhere for these, or are we just? We need
to get a good acoustic, room with good acoustics.
Yeah, we want to keep so other people can't hear it, right?
I think maybe
spoil dig.
There's lots of the really powerful, dangerous factions around the valley have their own rooms, and rooms have good acoustics. So maybe we could try and sneak into various of these powerful, dangerous factions' rooms and practice there.
Yeah, possibly. It's obviously it's up to whoever is next to take the lead on that. We have 3 people left to act. We've got Inga and John and Stephen. Is anyone taking it, or do we want to roll for it?
Yeah, I'll go for it. Yes, I think you've got a great idea there, Festa. Nobody will be able to defeat me. We can go forward. No one would take on a vampire. We'll be able to make our way into a secret room. And I will charge off to whatever direction I think is broodingly, of course, in whatever direction seems like. Yeah, wherever these are.
Sure.
I don't even know where I know. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, I will step in a little bit there, just because this, if you've been keeping track, you must be sure, and you know the rules. You'll know that we're due a misfortune for this task. So a misfortune is going to happen with this stage. So let me just add this thing. You said you're rushing off to find somewhere nice and private to carry out your rehearsals. Well, now let's use a bit of inspiration, which might be a bit random, but let's use a bit of inspiration from the map of the Great Battle Camp, shall we? To kind of randomly determine, not random, but you know what I mean, sort of determine where you might end up. So this is the battle camp. I know that the text is small, but actually lifting the text made it go a bit small. So there we go. This bit is labeled junk, which seems like a place you might have been, right? And very nearby, we have the Black Tower, which is where all the wizards live. We had a haunted dwarf mine. And down here, we have maybe the secret Bugbear Spy HQ, the Bugbear's Dog Kennel, and the Dun Inn, right? So you got a few options there, Inga. Where do you think you might dash. I mean, I have to say, I think a vampire would be drawn to the Black Tower, I feel, but it's entirely up to you.
I'll say Black Tower or Haunted Mines. I think
Both spooky.
I think Haunted Mines is
those
where I'm
acoustics.
heading. Yeah.
Haunted Mines. Well, then, you arrive fairly soon after this at the Haunted Mines, trailed by your little gaggle of goblins, and so this is where you've chosen to go. Let's see how that works out, how this location works out as a choice for you, by going ahead and giving us your role for finding this nice isolated spot as a rehearsal venue.
Can I roll an extra dice for pretend vampire? I'm choosing haunted spot because I am basically ruler of the undead, right?
Exactly. You are a lord of the night.
Mm-hmm. That is 2 3s, which is something bad.
Well, is it
no,
though?
Actually,
Because
do you know what? No, I'm gonna wear my boss hat.
Before you do that,
before I do that,
did you factor the something good into that role?
I did not. No. Wait. So something good. Does that apply to both? That applies to both of them. So that's 2 4s instead.
It is indeed.
Okay. So then that's another something good, I guess.
So no hats. So essentially, you rush into this haunted dwarf mine. You know what? There doesn't seem to be anyone alive here, so that means it's perfectly safe. So I figure we're kind of good to go, right? Is there anything you want to kind of add
my
in?
Undead, my undead presence has scared away any of the others. This is the perfect location. Yes.
Absolutely. It's perfectly fine, and I'm sure that kind of clattering, vibrating noise from the corner is probably just background ambience. So we have, I think, John and Stephen left. Random or someone jump in? Random. Stephen, pig hitter.
Oh. So are we just in the space that we're gonna use as our rehearsal space?
Yeah, and there's no one else here, so you've got something good to add to your role.
Okay, so lovely. I'm also going to I'll take a second dice for the clutch stream of celebrity. I don't know if that's applicable to every single task, but I think rehearsal, which to pig hitter just means everybody trying to be louder than everybody else. He's going to try extra hard at that.
Okay.
So yeah, he's just going to, with his stolen pipe, just make as much noise as possible.
Sure, absolutely.
With something good. Oh, that's another something good and a victory.
Nice.
In fact, on a roll of more, I rolled a 6. So it says here, on a roll of more than 6, take 2 victories.
You do take 2 victories, and there's also another something good for the next. So yeah. Is that something you want augmented, or is just a very successful hammering of that pipe?
I mean, it's a good thing there's nothing alive in this haunted mine, because I think the reverberations off the walls, we're going to be an extremely loud band.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Important.
And if anything, the loudness of your pipe music is increasing the noise of that background ambience. And if that is just something that happens everywhere, then you're going to be very loud when it comes to when you play.
Exactly,
John.
I think this background ambience is really just adding to what we're doing. So I want to try and explore it and see if I can make it either control it or make it louder.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go and try and find what's making the noise, and if I find it, poke it really hard.
Absolutely. That seems like a good plan. So you have something good on your roll. So go ahead and make that with any additions.
I don't think anything else really adds to it. So I still rolled a 6.
Still roll
There's
a
7.
6.
7. I rolled a 6, so it's 7, right?
You
So
rolled a
that's not good.
7. Yeah. So that's 2 successes. And if you don't mind here, because unless I factor in this misfortune sooner or later, then we're about to win. So let me add something to the pile. You go and find what's making this noise, and it is a corner of the mine, this entrance to the mine that you're in, where everything's just a bit wobbly. It's a bit wobbly, a bit weird. It kind of makes your skin go on edge, and not in a good way, not in the way the good way you get when you're crunched into that corpse. It's definitely an odd, wobbly sensation. And there are a lot of bones here, a lot of quite big bones that appear to be kind of like juddering together to form some kind of animated bone animal of some kind. And I think it's probably unlikely that Wink the Maggot Eater has a lot of experience with large walruses. But however you feel that Wink the Maggot Eater will have interpreted the bones of a giant walrus coming together into a fearsome monstrosity that's probably about to try and flatten and or impale the lot of you, is how you can interpret that. But you still have made a success, and I would humbly suggest that the success might be that Wink has found out that Wink is a hell of a vocalist, and by that I mean Wink can scream really loud when confronted with a giant animated walrus skeleton.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Cool.
Start of a new round. Start of a new round. Is anyone jumping in?
I think, of course, clearly, being a pretend vampire, forget about the pretend, of course, they're a real vampire, and has the strength of 10 men, goblins, whatever else. So, of course, is going to go rushing in there to be gone, fell beast, and try and just head first go smacking at this walrus.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a skeleton. You got to get vampire points there, and it has the biggest fangs you've ever seen.
Wow.
So, that's got to be good.
How many more successes do we need, Games Master?
Well, that would be telling, wouldn't it?
All right, fair enough.
but
So that
That's that then, I guess.
1 and 4. And I'm
you're gonna
1
re-roll.
and a 4. So there's something good. I think it's hat time. I think it's hat o'clock, and I'm going to go for my most vampire hats that I have at my selection. So.
Whoa! We're playing Goblin Quest, not Vampire the Masquerade. Put that dial down the gothy edgelord here.
It's too scary.
Where did Inga go? All I can see is a vampire.
That's a 3 and a 6.
That's a 3 and a 6.
Something bad plus a victory.
Absolutely. You or me?
Over to you.
Over to me. Okay. Okay. I would say that so as you run over and sort of leap and try and bite the neck of the giant animated walrus skeleton, which it has to say doesn't go particularly well. It doesn't have a neck for a start, and those sharpened carrots kind of just smush a bit as you start gnawing into one of the bones on its or what used to be its neck. It does seem to be somewhat disturbed, and its assault on you broadly seems to be held back. That is almost certainly because it is terrified at the nightmarish, Prince of Wolves, who is kind of like dangling and thrashing around with tufts of hair coming off their body from it, and not at all the fact that your music is so bad it is killing the dead. And let's take that as the victory. But the something bad is that the walrus is still there and looks very much like it at any moment might crush and or impale one of the goblins. So that's the something bad. So we have everyone but Inga. Anyone? Holly, go for it.
So my clutch is superb at creating distractions, and it seems like one is really required at the moment to avoid, of course, being impaled upon a giant walrus tusk. So what they're going to do is dive off the side of the. I'm kind of imagining this mine to be like some kind of rail shaft that's suspended in midair, and whatever's going on is kind of down a little bit. So Clunk is going to grab whatever the nearest object to them is, and try and jump off the side, whacking the side of whichever posts are suspending this rail in effort to create as much noise as possible.
Okay, because noise seems to be what's causing this walrus trouble. So
exactly, yeah, screaming the entire time.
Absolutely. So that's a something bad. Have you got any extra dice on that?
I think resourceful and creating distractions kind of work.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to give me haunted eyes as well, given that we're in a haunted mine.
I will let you if you want, but this is the thing. Obviously, as someone else has already grokked on this, rolling 4 dice isn't necessarily a good thing, especially given that all of them are at -1.
But why not go out in a blaze of glory?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Streaming all the way down a mine.
Sounds good.
Okay. I mean, actually, it's not truly terrible. So 1 success there because I got a 6, but then I also got a 1, a 3, and a 4. So
it's not all bad. So. Me or you? I mean, I've got something. If you want.
you go for it. You go for it.
Okay. So, yeah, Clunk is leaping towards one of these struts, kind of like holding up this platform of the mine, and Clunk, I mean, definitely makes contact with the strut. In that Clunk folds around the strut, revolves around the strut, and then just fly. So it is a success. You do knock down the rail, but everything that is coming down the mine is definitely coming down behind you as you kind of like pinwheel through the mine with a triumphant kind of like yeah, and that disappears until only a faint glow is visible quite a long way away and very still at the bottom of like this dark shaft. But you do knock through the rail. The entire thing comes tumbling down. Of course, manages to like spring off and crumple to the ground as this walrus skeleton slowly slides off into this massive pit, eventually coming to rest, on top of Clunk, as a bunch of like spinning bones. But, it's a rehearsal that was so good, you not only raised the dead, but then killed it again. And that can only be viewed as a success. There's something bad to carry forward, I suppose, is that...
haunted?
Yeah, maybe some kind of like... Maybe whatever weird spirit haunted that walrus skeleton is now got a bit of a vendetta and is along for the ride. But regardless, that's our first task completed. You have found out what makes noise, acquired what makes noise, and rehearsed successfly. So there we go. So what we're going to do is take a little 10-minute break now, and then we'll be back and we will launch into the second task, which is marketing So there we go. Lovely. 10 minutes, folks. We'll see you very soon.